The last thing I want to mention is the horse racing industry in this state is about to fall and crumble and deteriorate and go away. That's just how drastic it is. And I don't know, I think somebody handed out some charts. I hope that you folks have it. And I just want everybody to know that the number of jobs that the horse racing industry has sustained and has created and actually has lost over the number of years is unbelievable. Do you folks have this? I think this was handed out. And at the heading on it, it says licensing by the Illinois Racing Board. And when they say licensing, these are jobs. These are positions. These are groomsmen, trainers, drivers, jockeys, blacksmiths, veterinarians that have to be licensed to provide this service. It has gone from, in 2000, there were 11,000 employees. And in 2018, it's down to 4,000. And that's going to continue to deteriorate. So without an infusion of some revenue into that industry, those jobs, and they're blue-collar jobs, they're hard, difficult jobs, specialized jobs, but that is a serious concern. And then this handout also shows the foals. That's the number of baby horses that were foaled in any given year. And in 1985, we went from nearly 4,500 into last year, 300. These are Illinois-owned and bred and foaled animals that have foaled in this state. This industry, you know, I think a lot of people have a misconception of what this industry is. It is not a bunch of wealthy individuals owning and breeding horses. That is maybe a small part of it, but the jobs that are created by this industry, they're very real. So anything that they could do to help them would be appreciated.
Sure. Senator McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Director.
Senator.
Is the problem that purses have shrunk?
Absolutely.
And what's the cause and what's the remedy?
So I think Senator Menard mentioned that some folks are going to testify after we get done here, but it's a term called recapture, and it's kind of a complicated formula, but it's money that had been set aside for purses to go to be divided between the horsemen, the purses, and the tracks. That money has gotten diverted away from the horsemen, and again, it's a complicated formula. But
if I could just hit the pause button, why don't we just have Mr. Hannig come up
That'd be
right
great.
now? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. And I appreciate all the good and hard work that you do, and certainly understand the many challenges that you face. And also let me thank Director Sullivan for his words about the industry. I'm Gary Hannig. I'm with Morrill and Fiedler, and we represent the Thoroughbred Horsemen. There's 3 horseman groups. There's 3 tracks in the state of Illinois. And we all support a concept that's known as recapture. So the short history of it is back in the 1990s, as things began to change in the industry, there was a process set up at the request of the tracks to try to hold them harmless if there was less betting at the track, as people began to go to casinos or they began to go to off-track betting parlors or places like that. So anyway, this was set up, and the way it works is that there's a calculation made by the Illinois Racing Board, and everybody believes that it's done correctly. And once the Racing Board does this calculation on how much the tracks are entitled to, they are by law allowed to remove that money from the purses that the horsemen compete for. Now, there's another law that's on the books that says annually the General Assembly shall appropriate sufficient funds from the General Revenue Fund to the Department of Agriculture, and that's why we think it's appropriate that we testify as part of the Department of Agriculture's budget today. And that was enacted back under Governor Edgar, and the concept was that the state would then make whole the purses for the horsemen. That was funded for a number of years, but then there was some difficult times in Illinois, and the recapture has not been funded now for a significant number of years. What's happened now is because of that, we've also seen, and I would say we've also seen that other states have become much more competitive and have done things to bring incentives to the horse racing industry in their states, whether it's Indiana or Kentucky or wherever. They've done any number of things, whether it's direct incentives into the accounts, the purse accounts, or whether it's some kind of other setup at the racetrack. And so you see horse racing flourishing in other states, but struggling here in Illinois. And we are at a point where we believe that unless we can do something for the industry within the next few years, we may see some more of our tracks close. We've had a couple of tracks close in the last 5 or 6 years. We still have 3 tracks in the state. One is downstate from here, Fairmount, and then 2 up north. Arlington is up there, and it's probably the biggest and the best, and then Hawthorne as well. So what we're asking today is that the legislature work with us to find a way that we can fund recapture. The amount that was calculated by the racing board and removed from the purse accounts is $11,379,129. So that's, that's what we're asking for. As the director said, you can see from this chart, this is kind of a proxy, this chart, for jobs in Illinois. As we lose horses, we lose the jobs that are associated with them. And when horses, for the first couple of years, the horses don't race. They simply, they go, the veterinarian comes and checks on them. They're fed every day. The trainers start the process of, training them so they can race. This is all done typically in downstate Illinois and with a very close relationship to agriculture. So, it's really good for the entire state. It really helps some of the underserved rural areas of Illinois, and we're here asking for your help and support.
All right, thank you. Questions? Senator Villavalla.
Thank you, Director and Mr. Hannig. So obviously we get a lot of requests for funding. Can you just kind of outline the number of jobs that we're talking about and the level of economic activity this would, if we provided this $11 million, that it would generate?
Well, so the economic activity that where it's come and where it is now, we're still generating about $1 billion worth of economic activity right now. Is that right, Gary? Just a little bit over. But that's using the jobs and the numbers, for this current year. You can imagine what it was back several years ago when the number of horses and the number of tracks and the number of workers, that number would be dramatically increased. But so as far as the number of jobs, currently we're looking at around 4,000. These are and again, those jobs are only the ones that are licensed through the racing board. There are a number of other positions and jobs, just out on the farm, literally. I mean, the feed companies and the growing of the hay and the selling of the hay. Excuse me, all of that is not even included in these numbers.
Yeah, we think about 9,500 and so jobs are actually generated even now, not just at the tracks, but at the tracks and the farms throughout the state of Illinois. But that's been diminishing and will continue to diminish unless we are able to make the industry more competitive.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd like to work with you on this.
Thank you for your question. Appreciate it.